Have you ever walked away from a conversation replaying it over and over in your head, wishing you had said something different, something sharper, something more confident? That moment when the words got stuck in your throat, or you stumbled, or maybe you spoke too quickly, only to later think of the perfect thing you should have said. It's a frustrating feeling, isn't it? Almost like your confidence betrayed you at the very time you needed it most. The truth is, communication is one of the most powerful tools we carry everywhere with us. It shapes how people see us, how they trust us, and whether or not they believe in us. Yet it's also the skill we neglect the most, often assuming it comes naturally, until we're put under pressure and realize how much work it truly requires. Communication is not simply about speaking, it's about connection. Every time we open our mouths, we're either building bridges or burning them, whether we're conscious of it or not. The tone we use, the pauses we allow, the clarity we give, these are not just details, they are signals. People don't only hear our words, they feel our presence, and presence is where confidence lives. If you want to respond with confidence, it doesn't start with memorizing the perfect lines or rehearsing clever comebacks. It starts with how you carry yourself, how you breathe, how you listen, and how you decide to show up in a conversation. Confidence is not arrogance. It's not dominating the conversation, it's not being the loudest voice in the room, and it's certainly not about crushing someone else's point of view. Real confidence in communication is calm, steady, and controlled. It's the kind of composure that makes people lean in to hear you, rather than pull back to defend themselves. Think about the last time you listened to someone who spoke with both strength and calm, someone who didn't rush their words, who wasn't flustered by interruptions, who kept their message steady even under pressure. That's the kind of communicator people respect, and that's the kind of communicator you can become. The first step to responding with confidence is to master the pause. Most people are afraid of silence. They fill every gap with or nervous chatter, but a pause is not weakness, it is power. A pause gives you space to gather your thoughts. A pause tells the other person that you're intentional, that you don't need to rush, and that you value clarity over speed. Silence makes people listen. Imagine being asked a difficult question in a meeting. Instead of blurting out the first half-baked answer, what if you simply paused, took a breath, and then spoke? That moment of calm will make your response carry more weight. The pause is your hidden weapon. Another powerful tool is slowing down. Nervousness makes people speed up. The faster they talk, the less confident they sound, because it comes across as if they're trying to get it over with. But confident communicators know how to slow down. They let their words land. They give each sentence room to breathe. Speaking slowly doesn't mean dragging. It means being deliberate, being intentional. When you slow down, you sound more certain, and the person listening has time to absorb your words instead of scrambling to keep up. Confidence also comes from clarity. Too often, people overcomplicate their message, stuffing it with jargon or unnecessary details in the hope of sounding smart. But the truth is, simplicity is what makes communication strong. When your point is clear, people trust you. They don't have to guess at what you mean. They don't have to work to understand. If you can explain your idea in plain language that a child could understand, you are not only confident, you are persuasive. Confidence is knowing that your point is strong enough without the padding. Listening is another overlooked key. You cannot respond with confidence if you aren't truly listening. Too often, people listen only to reply, rehearsing their response while the other person is still speaking. That leads to shallow, reactive communication. But if you really listen, if you give the other person your full attention, you gain more control over the conversation. You'll pick up on details, on emotions, on hidden meanings. That gives you time and material to shape a more thoughtful response. Confidence is not just speaking, it is absorbing, reflecting, and then responding with precision. Emotional control matters more than people realize. One of the easiest ways to lose confidence in communication is to let your emotions run the show. Anger, defensiveness, or even excitement can make you lose balance. Confident communication is about steadiness. Even in heated discussions, staying calm makes you the anchor in the room. People may raise their voices, they may try to provoke you, But if you can stay steady, if you can respond instead of react, you win respect. Emotional control shows strength. Remember this: when you raise your voice, you lower your credibility. But when you keep calm, you raise your authority. Nonverbal cues are another layer. Before you even say a word, your body speaks. Your posture, your eye contact, your gestures, all of them tell the story of your confidence. If you slouch, look away, or fidget, your words will lose impact no matter how smart they are. But if you stand tall, look directly but kindly at your listener, and use open gestures, your words will be taken more seriously. Confidence is communicated not only through sound but also through presence. People often forget this, but the body reinforces the voice. Your body is either amplifying your confidence or undermining it. Another important element is brevity. Confidence doesn't feel the need to over-explain. If someone asks a question and you give a concise, direct answer, you come across as sure of yourself. Rambling, on the other hand, signals insecurity. It shows you're buying time or trying to convince yourself while convincing the other person. Brevity doesn't mean being cold or dismissive. It means knowing when enough is enough. Speak your point clearly, then stop. Let the silence do the rest. But let's be honest, confidence doesn't magically appear. It has to be built, practiced, and sharpened. One way to do that is to prepare. If you're walking into a conversation you know matters, an interview, a presentation, a negotiation, don't wing it. Think through possible questions. Practice your responses out loud. Familiarize yourself with your key points so well that they flow naturally when needed. Preparation builds confidence, and when you're prepared, your voice doesn't shake as much. Your mind doesn't scramble, and your words come out with strength. Another practice is to role. Play difficult situations. Rehearse responding to interruptions. Rehearse how you'll handle disagreements. Rehearse staying calm when someone challenges you. This may sound awkward, but it's like training muscles. The more you practice under fake pressure, the stronger you'll be under real pressure. Athletes train for game day. Communicators should train for conversations. Confidence is also built from self-talk. How you speak to yourself before a conversation matters. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm going to mess this up, I always get nervous, I can't think fast enough," then you've already undercut your confidence before you even speak. But if you reframe it, "I don't need to be perfect, I just need to be clear, I can take my time, I have something valuable to say," your brain and body follow. Self-talk is not fluff, it's the programming you give yourself before stepping into the arena. One of the most underrated ways to communicate with confidence is asking questions. People assume confidence means having all the answers, but in reality, confident communicators aren't afraid to ask for clarity. If you don't understand something, say, "Can you explain that further?" That doesn't make you look weak, it makes you look engaged, it shows you care about accuracy. And ironically, it often makes people respect you more because they see you're not pretending, you're prioritizing understanding. Confidence also grows when you detach from the need for approval. Too many people weaken their communication by desperately seeking validation. They hedge their words with "if that makes sense," or "I could be wrong," but those phrases drain your authority. You don't need to announce your doubt. If you want to communicate confidently, drop the unnecessary disclaimers, speak your point without apology. If you're wrong, someone will correct you and you can adapt. But watering down your words in advance only makes you sound unsure before anyone even evaluates your point. A confident communicator also understands tone. The way you say something matters as much as what you say. A sarcastic tone can sabotage a valid point. A rushed tone can bury a strong idea. A calm, steady tone, on the other hand, makes even simple words powerful. Think of leaders, teachers, or mentors you respect. Often, their authority wasn't in the complexity of their words, but in the tone with which they delivered them. Confidence doesn't need fancy language. It needs conviction in tone. There's also the skill of redirecting. Sometimes, in conversations, people will try to corner you, provoke you, or derail your point. A confident communicator doesn't panic. Instead, they redirect. For example, if someone asks an irrelevant or loaded question, you can calmly say, "That's an interesting point, but let's bring it back to," and continue. Redirection keeps you in control. It shows you're not easily thrown off balance. Control of direction is control of perception, and perception is where confidence lives. Another thing that builds confidence is accepting imperfection. Many people freeze up in communication because they're terrified of making a mistake, pronouncing a word, losing their train of thought, or being challenged. But here's the secret: everyone makes mistakes. Even the most polished speakers stumble. The difference is, confident communicators don't let the stumble control them. They laugh it off, correct themselves, and move on. The more you embrace imperfection, the less power it has over you, and the freer you become to speak with strength. Confidence also grows from practice in real life, not just theory. Talk to strangers, ask questions in class or meetings, volunteer to give updates. Every small act of communication is a training ground. The more you expose yourself, the less intimidating it becomes. Just like lifting weights, confidence in communication grows with repetition and consistency. You can read about it all day, but until you step into real conversations, you won't sharpen it. And here's one more truth: confidence in communication is not about you, it's about the listener. If you shift your focus from "how do I sound" to "how can I serve this person by making my point clear," your anxiety drops. Fear thrives when you're self-focused. Confidence thrives when you're others-focused. Remember, communication is a gift you give. It's not a performance, it's a connection. When you center the listener, you free yourself to respond with clarity and strength. And so, when you strip all of this down, the art of responding with confidence is not about memorizing tricks. It's about training yourself to approach every interaction with steadiness, self-control, and clarity. It is about realizing that words are not just sounds leaving your mouth. They are tools, they are signals, they are the visible part of what is happening inside you. If you're calm, people feel calm. If you're scattered, people feel scattered. If you're confident, people begin to mirror that confidence back at you. That's why the work of becoming a better communicator always begins with your presence before it ever reaches your mouth. Presence is what people feel even before they hear a word. Every conversation you walk into is an opportunity to show people you are thoughtful, that you are composed, that you respect them enough to truly listen, and that you respect yourself enough to speak with strength. Conversations are not competitions to win, they are connections to build, and when you walk into them with that perspective, the anxiety starts to fade, the pressure to be perfect loosens its grip. You no longer feel like you're under a spotlight because your goal shifts from impressing to connecting. That's where confidence thrives, not in perfection, but in presence and connection. Think about the people in your life who have left the deepest impression on you with their words. Chances are, it wasn't because they dazzled you with fancy vocabulary or overwhelmed you with flawless arguments. It was because they made you feel heard, they made you feel safe, they made you feel like their words were steady enough to trust. That is what confident communication does. It leaves people with the sense that you are reliable, grounded, and genuine, and that is far more powerful than trying to sound like the smartest person in the room. Responding with confidence doesn't mean you won't feel nervous. It doesn't mean your hands won't sweat or your heart won't beat faster. It doesn't mean you won't have moments where you stumble. But it does mean that you'll learn how to breathe through those moments, how to take your time, how to anchor yourself in the pause, how to steady your tone, how to use your body to reinforce your voice, and how to prioritize connection over performance. It means you'll be the person who can handle interruptions without spiraling, disagreements without anger, and silence without panic. That kind of composure is rare, and that rarity makes it magnetic. And let's be honest, confidence is not something you master once and for all. It's not a medal you earn and then hang on your wall forever. It's something you practice day after day in every small interaction. It's in how you respond to the cashier, how you answer a question in class, how you give feedback to a coworker, how you express yourself in front of your family. Every one of those moments is a rehearsal for the bigger ones. And if you keep showing up with intention, with clarity, and with presence, those small wins build up into something unshakable. So the next time you find yourself in a conversation where your instinct is to rush, to panic, to over-explain, or to retreat into silence, remember this: you don't need the perfect words, you don't need to impress anyone. What you need is composure, what you need is clarity, what you need is the quiet strength of knowing that your voice matters and that silence can serve you just as powerfully as speech. Responding with confidence is not about being flawless. It's about being steady, and when you are steady, people will listen. When you are steady, people will respect you. And when you are steady, you will find that your communication becomes not just a way to speak, but a way to lead.